Baby, I know you're asking me to stay. Say please, please, please don't go away. You say I'm giving you the blues. Maybe you mean every word you say. I can't help but think of yesterday and another who tied me down to lovable rules. Before this river, there comes an ocean. Before you throw my heart back on the floor. Oh, baby, I'll reconsider my foolish notion. Well, I need someone to hold me, but I wait for something more. Yes, I gotta have faith. I gotta have faith. Because I gotta have faith, faith, faith. I gotta have faith, faith, faith. Just have to wait because I got to have faith. To have faith. Before this river, there comes an ocean. Before you throw my heart back on the floor. Oh, baby, I'll reconsider my foolish notion. Well, I need someone to hold me, but I wait for something more. 'Cause I gotta have faith. I gotta have faith. Because I gotta have faith, faith, faith. I gotta have faith, faith, faith.
They say the neon lights are bright on Broadway. They say there's always magic in the air. But when you're walking down that street and you ain't had enough to eat, the glitter rubs right off and you're nowhere. They say the women treat you fine on Broadway, but looking at them just gives me the blues. 'Cause how you gonna make some time when all you got is one thin dime, and one thin dime won't even shine your shoes?
I can't lie. No more of your darkness. All my pictures seem to fade to black and white. I'm growing tired, and time stands still before me. Frozen here on the ladder of my life. Too late to save myself from falling. I took a chance and changed your way of life. But you misread my meaning when I met you. Close the door and left me blind. packed my bags last night, pre-flight. 0 hour, 9 a.m. And I'm gonna be high as a kite by then. I miss the earth so much, I miss my wife. It's lonely out in space on such a timeless flight. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time till touchdown brings me round again to find I'm not the man they think I am at home. Oh no, 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 I'm a rocket man, burning out his fuse out there alone. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time till touchdown brings me round again to find I'm not the man they think I am at home. Oh no, 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 I'm a rocket man, burning out his fuse out there alone. Mars ain't the kind of place to raise your kids. In fact, it's cold as hell, and there's no one there to raise them if you did. And all the science I don't understand, it's just my job 5 days a week. A rocket man, a rocket man. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time till touchdown brings me round again to find I'm not the man that think I am at home. Oh no, 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 I'm a rocket man, burning out his fuse out there alone. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time till touchdown brings me round again to find I'm not the man that think I am at home. Oh no, 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 I'm a rocket man, burning out his fuse out there alone. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time. And I think it's gonna be a long, long time. gonna take my girl and gonna keep her to the end. And nobody gonna have my girl. She thinks clothes on everywhere. Oh, she's a killer machine. She got everything. Like a moving mouth, body control and everything. I love her. I need her. I see her. Yeah, she turns me on. All right, all time. I'm a highway star. Nobody gonna take my head. I got it beat inside my brain. Nobody gonna stick my head now that I'm on the road again. Oh, I'm heaven again. I got everything. Like a moving crowd, an open road and everything. I love it. I need it. I feel it. Ain't selling it all mine. All right, all right. I'm a highway star.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you could please take your seats. The family members of Stefan to sit in the front 2 rows of the seats that are in the room. Thank you.
Nobody gonna take my car. I'm gonna race into the ground. Nobody gonna beat my car. It's gonna break the speed of sound. Oh, it's a killing machine. It's got everything. Like a driving power, big fat tires and everything. I love it and I need it. I believe it. Yeah, it's a man hurricane. All right, all right. I'm a highway star. I'm a highway star. I'm a highway star.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you please take your seats. And those that won't be sitting, please stand on either side of the seats.
The summer sun is fading as the year grows old, and darker days
What are you thinking, Stefan?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you can please be upstanding so we can welcome Stefan's wife Terry, daughters and Stefan's brothers to the room. Thank you. Please be seated. Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Paul Nicolau. I'm the Executive Director of Business Sydney, and I'm deeply honoured to be the Master of Ceremonies for this evening's celebration of a great man. And it's great to see so many people here in attendance this afternoon. And it's great that all of us are here to help celebrate one fine gentleman, one true gentleman amongst us. Friends, can I take this opportunity to acknowledge the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people as the traditional owners of the land and the waterways in which we live, work and recognise their continuing significance and connection to country. Today we're gathered on the land of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and we pay our respects to past, present and future. We honour their stories, traditions and living cultures of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures, and we pay our respect and commit to building a brighter future together. Friends, can I please formally welcome Stefan's wife Terry, Stefan's daughters Anna, Stephanie, Joanne and Stefan's brothers Stuart and David. In addition, can I thank them very much on behalf of everyone in the room for allowing us to hold this special celebration for Stefan. Friends, can I also welcome today's event, and all of you are very important. If I sat here and acknowledged everyone in the room would be here all night, and all of you have played some significant role in Stefan's life, but also a significant play in the wonderful world of football that we have in this wonderful country. But I'd like to acknowledge Ante Isaac, the President and Chairman of Football Australia and members of his board, James Johnson, the Chief Executive Officer of Football Australia, John Tatsimus, the Chief Executive Officer of Football New South Wales, David Hill, former Chair of Soccer Australia, Chris Nikou, the former Chair of Football Australia, Yanis Malakoutis, the Greek Consul General in Sydney, friends and former colleagues of Stefan, current and former coaches, current and former footballers, current and former football administrators, representatives from the media, one and all. Friends, today the Australian football community is united in acknowledging and celebrating Stefan as a revered figure whose contributions to the game shaped its landscape across decades. Stefan has left behind a legacy of exceptional service and dedication to football in Australia. Friends, today we're going to honour the remarkable life and contributions of Stefan to football, to New South Wales and to Australia. Stefan was a giant of Australian football whose influence and vision left an enduring legacy. Today we will hear from the family, friends, colleagues who will articulate the life and legacy of this great man and true gentleman. The entire event today will be streamed live online via Facebook, Football Australia and Football New South Wales website and socials. Friends, without further ado, it now gives me great pleasure to call on David Hill, the former Chair of Soccer Australia and very close friend to Stefan, to say a few words. Please welcome David Hill.
I'm just beginning to see. Now I'm on my
First, I think we should thank Harry Michaels for stepping up. This is so typical of Harry. And on behalf of Stefan and all of his family and friends, and Paul Nicolau and all of the people that have so quickly got together to make this appropriate salute to Stefan Kamasz possible. Stefan, we all know, was a very good man who lived a good life. I met Stefan about 30 years ago, a little more than 30 years ago, about the time I became the chair of Australian football, and we became lifelong friends. He was not only a terrific sports administrator, but among the best general managers that I've had the good fortune to work with in any field over many years. He was very rare in football Australia, probably unique, because I never heard him say anything negative about anybody. And I didn't hear anybody say anything negative about him, which is a tough feat in Australian soccer. I think we all know that. And he didn't go around grumbling about other people. In fact, he never grumbled at all. He had grace, he had dignity, he had integrity in everything that he did. When I was at football, Stefan was responsible for the National League, but we got him to do all the difficult management tasks, all the difficult tasks that we needed the best man to handle. And there's one example that I remember about Stefan. I was with Terry Venables and the Australian Socceroos in Tehran. You might remember in that big World Cup qualifier, and we came away from Tehran with a 1-1 draw. Harry Kewell scored for us, and we had the return leg the following weekend in Melbourne. And when we were in Tehran, it was frightening in their stadium. They had over 100,000 people, and it was entirely covered with green and white Iranian flags. And when I got the chance on the way back, it was at Bahrain or Dubai or somewhere, I phoned Stefan, who we had put in charge of the return match in Melbourne, which I think at the time would have been the most important game of football Australia's ever staged, because he was the man for the job. And I said to Stefan, why don't we have flags like the Iranians? And somehow, with only a couple of days available, Stefan managed to get 40 to 50,000 Australian flags. And at every gate at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, when people turned up, they were offered an Australian flag. And have a look at the recordings of that match, and what a sight. And I remember the then Premier of Victoria, Jeff Kennett, saying that the sight of these Australian flags, Australia at its best, he said that was the proudest he ever felt as an Australian. And at the time, that Stefan did that for me as well. Some 20 years ago, Stefan and Terry decided to go on a big holiday. And at dinner at Stigitzer and my house here in Sydney, we managed to persuade them. It was winter here, and they were thinking of going to Broome, and we managed to persuade them to go to the Greek island of Poros, where I've now been a regular visitor for more than 50 years. Greece opened up a whole new world for them both, and indeed the girls as well. They've spent so much time in Greece on this island of Poros, which was my home for 20 years before I sent them there, that Stefan is better known on the island than I am now. Indeed, I think later in the program we have a recording from the mayor of Poros. Such is the standing that Terry and Stefan had on the island. And my son Damien, who's also here and a great mate of Stefan's, he tells the story that he used to go walking. Stefan used to go for these long walks every morning around the waterfront. Brian Hastings used to see him there as well. And he used to go on this long walk saying hello to everybody. And my son Damien tells the story, and Damien speaks perfect Greek, that Stefan was stopped by so many local Greeks, and it was so popular. One of them suggested he run for mayor in the local elections. Stefan spent most of his working life in football administration. He was lucky to spend most of his life doing something he genuinely loved and was passionate about, and having to put up with being a die-hard Leeds United supporter at the same time. I'm pleased to see that Terry is wearing the blue and gold of Leeds United, and I found a blue and gold tie to wear today, which is highly appropriate. What Stefan valued most, despite his love of football and everything else, was his loving family. And it's terrific to see David and Stuart here today, and especially Terry, Stephanie, Anna and Joanne. You were lucky to have him. But remember, he knew his greatest blessing was having you, particularly the inexhaustible love and care that you all gave him when he became ill. We will sadly miss Stefan. What a lovely man.
Thank you, David. From one icon to another icon, David, you've been a true gentleman to the sport, a true gentleman to business, but also a true friend to Stefan. And your remarks today will go down in a sad way. But thank you very much, David. Please put your hands together and thank David. Friends, it now gives me great pleasure to call on the Chair of Football Australia, Isaac Anta, to say a few words. Please put your hands together and welcome Anta Isaac.
I usually would prefer not to have something written, but this one's a little difficult. Welcome, everyone. While it's always nice to see you all, I know we all wish it were under completely different circumstances. We come together today to honour the life of a man who meant so much to us all, a man whose guidance, intellect and generous spirit shaped not only Australian football, but also the many individuals who had the privilege of working alongside him, Stefan Kamasz. To Terry, Stephanie, Anna, Joanne and the entire Kamasz family, please accept our deepest condolences and love. We know your loss is immense, and I hope you find some comfort in witnessing just how deeply Stefan was admired, respected and loved by everyone that knew him. Stefan was one of my first bosses. There are a couple in here, like he was to many others. But to say he was just a boss doesn't even begin to capture the extent of the influence he had on us all and many. He was a mentor, a role model, someone who guided us both professionally and more importantly, personally. Not by what he said, but rather by his actions. In many ways, he was really like a father or an uncle to many of us, reminding us all that success in the workplace is about more than just achievements. It's about values, integrity, and the way we treat each other, and especially the way we treat others who depend on us. From the very first day that I was blessed to work with Stefan, he taught me many lessons. Most of them guide me still to this day, and I'd like to share just a few that stand out. The way he spoke to people. Stefan took the time to listen. Really listen. When you spoke to him, you could see he was thinking and genuinely absorbing what you said with complete attention. That simple act of attentive listening made everyone around him feel valued, respected, and safe. I believe it's one of the reasons so many of us found ourselves feeling appreciated and then growing under his guidance. Attention to detail. Stefan had an uncanny ability to notice the little things. He didn't skip over details, he zoomed in on them. Working for him, we learned to review and re-review our work, anticipating the thoughtful questions and perspectives he would inevitably raise. It was never about fee. It was always about trying to maintain the high standards he exemplified. High expectations and strong values. Stefan held himself and the rest of us to incredibly high standards, both personally and professionally. He was principled in everything he did. And that unwavering commitment to doing the right thing made it easier for many of us all to follow. We never wanted to disappoint him. Because he was the kind of leader who inspired us to represent each other positively and give our very best. Impeccable presentation. It might seem like a small thing, but Stefan was always perfectly dressed for every occasion and spoke incredibly well. Always. When I once asked him if I should worry about being overdressed, he replied that people appreciate how you make them feel by showing respect in the way you present yourself, even in the way you dress. And it was just another example of how he brought dignity and grace into every corner of his life. Calm and composure in crisis. Perhaps most remarkably, Stefan remained unflappable even in moments of incredible urgency. Time and again, when any organisation needed a steady, experienced hand to guide it through a crisis and uplift its staff, whether club, league, state federation or national governing body, they turned to him. That alone tells you all you need to know about Stefan. When people truly valued their team and organisations, they trusted Stefan to provide not only strategic leadership, but also the reassuring presence everyone needed. Stefan wore many hats in Australian football: a successful player, an administrator, a team manager, a CEO, a board member, a colleague, and later a worthy inductee into the Football Australia Hall of Fame. His contributions were monumental, whether it was establishing key awards like the Joe Marston Medal and the Johnny Warren Medal, helping shape the National Soccer League, or guiding the development of the A-League. His fingerprints are on so many of this country's enduring football structures. But as important as his administrative legacy is, and it's huge, what struck us most was how he made us feel. He had a calm and measured presence that gave you confidence. He empowered young professionals, entrusted many with responsibilities well beyond our years, and had a keen sense of when to offer encouragement or constructive criticism. When you worked with Stefan, you felt capable of more than you'd ever imagine. I think that's why, in over 30 years involved in this sport, I can't recall a single person speaking ill of him. Even if they disagreed with a decision, they still held him in the highest regard. He was always respectful, measured and kind, and usually quite witty and funny, even in the most challenging moments. It's a rare gift to command such universal respect in a field as passionate and at times competitive as football. While he shaped Australian football in countless ways, his greatest legacy, in my mind, is the myriad of people he inspired and mentored personally. I feel eternally blessed to have been just one of those people. He taught us how to approach our work with dignity, humility, and respect, lessons that remain with us professionally as they do personally. To his beloved family, thank you for sharing Stefan with us. His commitment to the game meant time and energy spent away from home. Yet that sacrifice has improved the sport for generations to come. In doing so, he also created a professional family that will carry on his values and vision. Stefan, we will miss you, your thoughtful guidance, your generous mentorship, your grace, and your unwavering integrity. We will miss the way you made each of us feel valued, like we could accomplish anything if we put our hearts and minds to it. Thank you for showing us what genuine leadership looks like. Today we grieve the loss of a giant, but we also celebrate the man who brought us so much light into our lives. He set a standard for all of us to live up to, both personally and professionally, and though we can never fill his shoes, we can honour him by carrying his lessons forward. Thank you, and may we all find solace in the lasting impact he has left on our lives and on the game he loves so dearly.
Auntie, thank you for those kind words, and words that we all feel an affinity towards, and that we've all been touched by Stefan. And those words were perfect in explaining what Stefan was, who he is, and what he did. And thank you very much, and thank you for the support of Football Australia, having both the CEO, yourself, board members here, former coaches and administrators here, shows to the family and to the community how much we all loved and will miss Stefan. Friends, it now gives me great pleasure to call on Stefan's lovely daughters, Anna, Stephanie and Joanne, to say a few words. And Anna will speak on behalf of the siblings with the others standing behind her as a recognition of support. Please welcome Anna, Stephanie and Joanne.
When it came to kids, we're pretty sure Dad wanted a football team, but instead what he got was the cast of Little Women. Stephanie, the oldest, a production stage manager with a name that has enticed so many of you to mistakenly try and friend her on Facebook, thinking it was Dad. Myself, Anna, a partnerships manager and digital producer, and the son Dad never had. It's true, I'm my father's daughter, standards and stubbornness included. And the youngest, Joanne, a school learning support officer and lover of swing dancing, which Dad loved to watch around town with Mum by his side in the final years. Although to Dad soccer was life, to us girls in the beginning, it was really just his job. That thing that took his time and attention away from us each day. In our early years, we were often begrudgingly dragged around to his office, to matches, to events, where Dad was guaranteed to talk to everyone he knew, and possibly even a few more on the way out that he didn't. But like any childhood, these moments were filled with fond and important memories. Like being taken to visit Les Murray in his SBS office. It wasn't the great Les Murray himself that we were excited to see, but his excellent stationery cupboard and collection of colourful highlighters. Or like visiting Dad's good friend Harry Michaels to watch live recordings of Aerobics Oz Style. Ironically, we were there for Harry's famous fridge filled with ice cream sandwich bricks and boxes of wafers, and he often let us have more than just one. In our later teen years, we grew our appreciation of the game itself. And let's be honest, of the players. That includes Mum. But Dad made it his mission to ensure we would never make the great mistake of marrying a footballer. When Dad had arranged lunch with my teen heartthrob Harry Kewell and his manager Bernie, I insisted on going, but he refused to let us come, replacing any chance of a marriage proposal with a passive-aggressive gift of yet another signed autograph. When expressing great interest in a striker once, Dad said to me, "No, you can't go out with him. He only hugs corner flags." And when I lurked around change rooms and training sessions at Sydney FC, Dad took great pride in yelling, "Don't talk to her, she's a Victory supporter." With a great sense of humour and a love of movies, it would come as no surprise that Dad loved to torment us with a one-liner. "I'm watching you, Fokker," he'd say, amusing himself even more if the recipient was a nervous visiting boyfriend. The totally unoriginal, "I brought you into this world and I will take you back out again." Anytime we misbehave, which of course was never. And Joanne's favourite, "Nobody puts my baby in the corner," from Dirty Dancing, which he took us to see. 4 times. It wouldn't have been a problem except it was early 1988 and we were 7, 9 and 11 years of age. The lights came up, some very awkward questions were asked, and Dad turned around and sheepishly said, Don't tell your mother." We all agreed it was the best movie ever, and over the years it became, like many, a very family favourite. Despite being a humble man, Dad was actually fond of a reflective surface. Whether the bathroom mirror or a rear vision mirror in the car, you'd hear him utter his most annoying line of all. "I get better looking every day. I just can't wait for tomorrow." Personal appearance, as Anta said, manners and standards were part of Dad's ethos. Cleanliness was next to godliness and also his outlet. We knew when he was in a mood again, when you heard someone whisper, "Watch out, Dad's cleaning again." Like all Kamazes, Dad was an undiscovered rock star. He was an entertainer who loved to recite movies and break into song and dance, to the likes of George Benson, George Michael and Al Jarreau, and to musicals like Chess or Phantom of the Opera. Dad owned a classical guitar, which I'd forgotten till Joe mentioned last week. But from what we remember, he only knew 2 songs. One a classic, the other the theme song to Humphrey B. Bear, which we'd ask him to play over and over. To the screams of "Can we go yet?" we couldn't leave the house for our Saturday morning trips to Macquarie Centre until he'd finished supporting Phil Collins through his Air Tonight drum solo. And with his love of Michael Palin and ripping yarns, would run out enthusiastically, grab his thighs and say, "It's not the shorts that matter, it's what's in them that counts," from the episode of Golden Gordon. Dad made sure we would inherit this love of music, taking us at an early age to see the likes of Michael Jackson, John Farnham and the Little River Band, who were touring with Glenn Fry from the Eagles. Backstage at the after party, Glenn spotted us, so excused himself from a conversation, announcing there were some VIPs that he needed to meet. It's a moment Dad talked about until the very end. He loved meeting idols and humble ones. Leeds Norman Hunter included, although Dad was a bit deflated when introduced as a football CEO and Norman said, "What's a CEO?" Like entertainment, travel became one of Dad's other loves, and something he'd come to do more of when he found his second home in Poros, where we'd frequent throughout our adult years, making close friendships on the island. But in the 80s and 90s, it was our trips to Surfers Paradise that were our most memorable times. We'd listen to Disney soundtracks on repeat and would sing along. But we couldn't start the drive until Dad had slipped in the infamous cassette with his favourite departure tune, the FIFA anthem. A brilliant piece of music, he would say. I even got it once on the way to the car wash. Much to Mum's disapproval, Dad loved to read a road sign wherever we drove. Not one, but all that we passed. And when we asked him to stop, he just couldn't help but slip in one more. We spent many holidays at SeaWorld, where Joe and I set a park record riding Lassiter's Lost Mine ride 17 times. Dad amusingly would yell, "I'm trying," for days like these sinking animatronics he did love to mimic. But it was Dreamworld's Roulette that was his favourite ride and guaranteed to put a giant smile on his face, and it's a smile I will never forget. No matter where Dad went, he found himself a routine that usually involved 3 things: a paper-based activity, a coffee, and a tasty treat. Whether a newspaper, savoury muffin and muggerccino at muffin break, a sudoku, a hot soy latte in a takeaway cup, and a pie at Romeo's, or even a crossword, a Greek coffee, and a giant croissant at Skippers or Retro. But what he really came for was the community and the conversation. The staff, the patrons, and passers-by all quickly becoming his lifelong friends. Like every family, we had our good times and bad, and moments that would give the Simpsons a run for their money. We were three girls who couldn't be more than different, but Dad ensured we found common ground. Through humour, through entertainment, a strive for life, and ultimately a love of Greece, which became the heart of our adult family. No matter what impulsive decisions were made along the way, Dad was always supportive and would tell anyone who listened just how proud he was of his family. COVID was a time that truly reunited us. Our frequent online hangouts were filled with good food, great wine and bad filters. So when the doors reopened, we took these celebrations back on the road to favourite haunts like Diephanes, Piato's, 1821 and Brewdog, often with our good friends. Places we'll continue to visit and raise a glass, knowing that you're there with us in spirit. When Dad was diagnosed with MND last year, all he could say was, unbelievable. None of us, of course, wanted to believe it. But he still maintained his sense of humour, his generosity and positive attitude, and like a true athlete, refused to admit defeat. But this wasn't a match Dad would ever win. But when the final whistle blew, he so humbly and graciously walked off the pitch with a standing ovation in front of the sold-out crowd of loving family, his much-loved friends, and his beloved football community, grateful for a life well lived. But what he was most grateful for was Mum, as we are, who he dearly loved and said to us on Christmas Day what an incredible support she had been, even when he asked the most ridiculous of questions. Dad, we will miss you, but we know exactly where you need to be. Up there right now with your family, friends and idols, counting how many people are watching the live stream, excited to see just who's turned up. Your stories, legacy, and your terrible sense of humour will live through us forever. We love you.
How beautiful. Please put your hands together and thank Anna, Stephanie, Joanne. Anna, as we all know, is probably sitting up there with Les Murray, watching down and making sure that all the people that they all know are here to pay recognition and respect to your father. So well done to you, to Stephanie and to Joanne. It was a moving speech and a moving summation of your father, so well done to you, and I know how hard that would have been to do that, so well done to the three of you. Friends, it now gives me great pleasure to call on the Greek Consul General here in Sydney, Yannis Malakoutis, to read out a message from the Mayor of Poros. Now, as we all know, he loved Poros, and I think went every year with you, Terry, and Greece is not going to be the same without him, especially the island of Poros. So now, if we could please put your hands together and welcome the Consul General of Greece, Yannis Malakoutis.
When Harry Michaels asked me to do this this evening, I had some doubts because I'll be very frank, I didn't have the privilege, the honor to meet Stefan. However, when I read about him and his connection to Greece, I realized that my initial reservations amounted to hubris, which is a Greek word, ivris. Because he was an adopted Greek, and when I read this message from the mayor of Poros, where he spent a lot of time, you'll realize that he was considered to be one of them, one of the Poriotes, one of the Greeks in Poros. I won't read the message in Greek, but I've translated it into English. As the mayor of our beautiful island of Poros, on behalf of all our fellow citizens who were blessed to know the late Stefan Kamasz, I express my condolences to his family and loved ones. Stefan was a very dear and special person on our island, not because he was a visitor, but because over the years he became one of us, almost a local. He adopted us and we adopted him. It was a proud and very happy moment when Stefan received his Greek permanent residence in 2017 and became a Poriotis. With his loss, our island has lost a loyal friend. One of us has been lost. Stefan will no longer go on long walks with his lovely wife Terry, as they used to. Neither will he sit in tavernas and cafes enjoying the peaceful and beautiful views while sipping a glass of ouzo and chatting with local friends. I send out our warmest greetings to Australia and to all the family and friends of Stefan. Out of his love for football, he gave so much to the sport, but also as a human being, he won the respect of many, both in Australia and on the island of Poros. We will miss him very much. May his memory be eternal. George Koutouzis, Mayor of Poros. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Consul General. And I truly believe, like we all do, that the Mayor was right on the mark. He was a Philhellene, as you said, and everyone knew that, even when David Hill said that they used to go to Greece together. And everyone who knows him, especially of Greek background, we all knew his love for Greece and that of Terry's, and it was always fantastic. I know when I was talking with Ashley from Clayton Utes or Spiro Pappas, we would always admire the photos he would send through WhatsApp and through text, and there he is, he's sipping his ouzo or drinking wine or eating the wonderful food in Poros. So it is fantastic. And thank you, Consul General, for being here and also passing on the message from the Mayor of Poros. Friends, it now gives me great pleasure to call on Stefan's brothers, Stuart and David, to say a few words. Please put your hands together and welcome Stuart and David.
Don't panic, Harry. It's not that big. Have we run out of time yet? Me and Dave now just want to destroy Steve's reputation as we dig into our childhood. But firstly, I want to thank Football New South Wales, Sydney FC, Football Australia, and Western Bays, where we first came out to play. Particularly three guys who've drove down today: Kevin, Murray, and Chris. All the way down. We go back a long time. And also our family. We've got people. My dad was from Poland, my mother was Irish, so we have family in England, we have relatives in Poland, in Canada, Robert and Oksana. Oksana chased us down many years ago, and I think she contacted Anna years ago. She was trying to track down the family because his brother more or less raised her as a daughter and that. So, so we got people all over the world and that. So, as I say, Dad was Polish, Mum was Irish. After the war, my dad, who'd had a bit of a rough time and managed to escape from the clutches of those early days when he volunteered to fill in for his father, who was ill when they were taking him to the farms. He managed to, I found this out at his funeral when Stefan said that he managed to escape when they were starting to get rid of people and that, stopped to tie his shoelace, noticed the line had gone and shot off into the bush, and we wouldn't be here today without that. So he joined up with the partisans, and then after the war, he moved to England. He looked for over there around Leeds, the Horsforth area where we were. And my mum had left Ireland, and she was looking for work, and went over with a couple of her school friends, and they settled in Horsforth, which was a village at the time, a big town. It's now a town, and that's where she met my father and that, and obviously we appeared on the scene. So my mum used to love taking us back to Ireland because they both worked hard. Dad worked nights for years. My mum worked, but we never went short for anything. But she used to love taking us back to Ireland and showing us off, and used to dress us up, which was a bit of a nightmare because early days was, David was 6 years behind us, so there's early days where our cousins lived about 15 minutes away. So we'd be there in our beetle jackets with the velvet collars, walking through Crumlin, and then suddenly we'd get pelted with things, and it's the English kids back again. But luckily we had some cousins there who looked after us, and so we had many trips back to Ireland. And but the early memories of growing up, some things might show in the photos. There's probably there. Hopefully it came up, and it can see where Steve's pushing me on a swing, and we lived down the bottom of Horsforth. So Steve made the papers very early in his life, when he was about 3 or 4, when we lived down the bottom of Horsforth. And he had a 3-wheeler that one day he decided to get on it and cycle off. So they found him 2 miles away, and there was a headline there, he pedalled all this way up, so he's already making the news and that. So, but then we then moved up to a place on Low Lane where there were the old prefab buildings after the war they built. They had pitch tar roofs, and there was two there. So, and it was always dangerous because it was a flat roof, so we would find a way of getting up onto the roof. Football was a bit difficult because the ball would disappear. The neighbours didn't like the thumping on top of the tar roof. But so for football, it came out quite early in that, and we had a footpath that ran from one of the doors to the gate, and there's another picture there, me and him stood at the gate and that. But so we started the 1v1 training sessions, because all we'd just do all day was play up and down this path. We'd go down the hill, next door's neighbour's garden would be in there, and then Dad was working nights, and then we found out we could play inside in the hallway, shut a door, and where the coats and shoes were. So these one-on-ones would continue. But my mum was complaining to Stefan, my dad, and saying, look, they're banging the doors with the balls. My dad hid the balls, and then we came up with this brilliant idea. We'd play with a balloon. And so if you can imagine playing, one-on-one with a balloon that was floating everywhere and that, till we cracked knees one night, and we thought we'd broke our kneecaps and things like that. So, but football was in there early, and I can remember my first game, I think, with my dad took us to Ellen Road, and I can still picture these things that come back. So me and Steve were there, and he said to us, watch this winger. It turned out it was Stanley Matthews. That's how old it was, and he was playing for Blackpool at the time. So, but the football just became to take effect and that. So we always looked for every opportunity to do things. And then we did crazy things, like we wanted to build a soccer goal. So we'd find these planks and we'd dig these holes, and then we got my mum to get some balls of string. So you can imagine trying to make a net out of balls of string. So we got about a third way, and it was too much. And Dad used to have a camera, and we used to say, take a photo, Dad. So we used to stand there and go, and did you get it, Dad? Yeah. We never saw the picture. Yeah, I'm taking them. Yeah. So we're doing all these things here and there, So it was a big thing. So I can remember the early days too with Christmas. Dad had this thing where he couldn't wait for Christmas Day. He'd always say, Santa Claus has been. It's like the night before, and he used to love us opening the presents. But I don't know what was in his head that time when he bought a pair of boxing gloves for me and Steve. I thought this was a bit odd, but they came in handy because we always had the squabbles early on. As I said, David probably wasn't there then, But I remember we had a few stoushes and stuff like that. And I think I threw a 45 single record at him once. I think it hit him on the knee and cut his knee, and then he did something. And then he disappeared outside the house, and I was pretty angry, and he kept saying to me, "You're going to let me come back in? You're going to let me come back in?" I said, yeah, no worries. I put a boxing glove on at the time, So he come round at the side door, and I can remember this clear as day, and he said, "No, sure you're not going to do anything?" I says, "No." And as he put his head round the door, I went bang, and I hit him on the nose. And he always had a thing with his nose. He was always bleeding. And then when we went to school and playing soccer, I mean, he liked telling the story where he actually broke his nose in the game, and all they could do to get him off, they put him in a wheelbarrow and wheeled him off the pitch, you know. So then when the prefabs came down, and then we moved up to, we were quite posh. We had a upstairs and downstairs with a council house. We were lucky too, we had the end one, which was a complete brick wall. And the best thing about it was we could bang the ball against the wall all day, so we were hitting it. My dad was still on nights. So we'd have the 1v1s into the corners and that. But the wall was good for just volleying, we were heading it and that. And I can remember this day, we're like, bang, bang, corner of my eye. My dad's on night, so I see this image coming around the corner. It's my dad in a singlet and his underwear, and we're just banging the ball, and we turn around and he just like chased us because we kept waking him up every time he was coming home. But it was just the way the football was with us too. So as we got a little bit older, then things got a bit more serious with some good like Pudsey Juniors were a feeder side to Leeds and different things. So we started to play a bit more serious football. Steve was at St Michael's College. I came in. I was the surprise of the family to come in behind him because Steve was the brain. And when I remember when I passed my 11 plus to go to grammar school, and I was going out with some kids one day, and I shouted to my dad, "Dad, I passed my 11 plus." And my dad just said, "You couldn't pass a bus stop, mate," he said. But he always had these ways of pulling you back. But there was just one thing from school which I just wanted to share with you, because he was 2 years above me and that, so we're into the football. I'd gone to school and I hadn't done my homework with this particular teacher, Chinnery, remember his name, a great name, Chinnery. And I hadn't done it, and I was quite good, so I thought, all right, Stuart couldn't do his homework because he wasn't well. And my dad's signature was quite easy to do because he wasn't great writing. He just had an S and a K and a squiggle and a line at the bottom. So I signed it, S. Kamasz, you know. And he said, "What happened?" I said, I got a letter from my dad. I wasn't well and that. And he says, "Right." He says, "Is that your signature, is it?" I said, "Yeah." Probably because it was written in the same ink and whatever. He says, "Come with me." So he opened the door. He walked across the corridor. Steve was in a class opposite. He knocks on the door, and the teacher comes in. He said, "Can I see Steve Kamasz for a minute?" He comes out and he says to Steve, "Is that your dad's signature?" Steve went, "Nah." And I looked at him and I thought, "Oh, great." So I went back into class, and then he put me on detention for the night. And I was really upset because there was a game I had to play that night. So I was getting a bit bleary-eyed and that, and he just said, "Is that a tear I can see in your eye there, Kamasz?" And I went, "No, it's my eyeballs." And so I got another week. And but then when he started work, and probably the guys might, hopefully, Les Woodhead he worked with as an accountant, so that's where he had the ability with his accountancy and stuff like that. But he was also the go-to guy, so with homework, if we got stuck, it was always... He'd always tell me, he said, "You know, you're watching this, aren't you?" "Yeah. So you understand why I'm doing this?" "Yeah, just finish it, will you?" "And the reason why I'm doing it?" "Yeah." So he'd only do it, he said, if you know what I don't want to give you the answers, you've got to learn, you know, so. But he could see then early days he was good with figures and that, and then he got the job working with Les, and who played in the Sunday League team for us. But there was just a couple of things, just one great story where we're in the Beatles era, Steve's working, he's got a few shillings, so he goes out, he comes home on the Saturday from the shops, whatever, and he's brought back a Beatles disc, "I Want to Hold Your Hand." So we had one of those old style boxes, you could lift the lid and then you could play it. But it didn't work, so I said, "What did you buy the single for?" I think he just got in the flow with his mates. He put the single on, and then he started turning it with his finger. He's going, I said, what are you doing? I think he just got in the flow that they just went and bought records, you know. So then as the football moved on, he went through the same thing that I went through at one stage, where you'd fall out with my dad for about a week because there was a game we didn't play. They didn't speak for about a week. It happened to me, didn't speak for a week. Would be arguing with him and that. So, because he'd gone to Farsley Celtic, which was in the Yorkshire League, which was a good standard league as well. But he was getting a bit, he wanted to do something, so he decided to write. I think he wrote to America, and he wrote, some players were going to South Africa, and that's when he wrote and got a reply from the Western Bears, who, through Alan Lamb, who was did a fantastic job up at Western with bringing the Scottish and English boys across to improve football, and it was there then, obviously, where the first year he played with Western in '69, and then they wrote. He said, "Do you want to come to Australia?" and that, and I'd been down at Blackburn at the time, and that, for some worst decision they ever made, not signing me anyway. But anyway, I ended up coming to Australia, and then really that's where everything started. But it was just those early days, Steve was always the go-to guy. He was the sensible one, and just that story, I think that got shared the other day when he was playing. There was a knock on the door one Friday night, and someone said, "Is Steve?" And I said, "No, he's out. He's gone out." And they wanted him to turn up with a Leeds United, with a youth team that were going away to play a game. And you'd sign a form to be a standby. So I had to sit up. He got home about 12:30, and I had to tell him, so I'm sitting there waiting, and then tell him, "Steve, you've got to go to Leeds United tomorrow." And so he went there, got the bus, and then the guy that apparently had the broken arm and had a pot on his arm, the referee decided to let him play. So Steve never got his chance to go on there, But obviously the move to Australia for us and the family, Mum and Dad came in '73 and brought Dave. I think Dave was about 14, and then obviously, the rest really is history with him. And had that issue where he got injured, and he had some kidney issues where he got kicked a couple of times on it. But it was good to play that '71, the first grand final, to actually play with him. And we had a fantastic result against the local team. We won 5-0, and it was like, crazy. It was great just to actually play with him at last. I'd played in the Sunday League with him, yeah, it's just been a sad time. David and I came over in November, and just shocked at what we saw and that. But I still thought we had a bit more time with him, But I just want to thank you for the love that you've shown him, and in closing for me, obviously the legacy. We talk about legacies all the time. It's often mentioned at funerals and that. The dictionary says, leaving a lasting impact of particular events or actions that took place in the past. So Steve arrived in 1969, alone, didn't know anybody. He leaves us now, but this is what he leaves. You people. That's what his legacy is. I just thank you for your love.
Hi there, how are you all? All right? Good afternoon to you all, and thank you for being here to acknowledge and celebrate the life of Stefan Kamasz, my big brother, who made the decision in '69 to make his way to Western Bears Soccer Club with Dad's encouragement, and forged a wonderful career on and off the field, none of which he could have done without the support of Terry Ann and the girls. Now let me share a few early memories from what I remember as a young lad. Being the youngest of 3 boys, I was the runt of the litter. I was teased and tormented on a regular basis by these two. The first memory I have has been Mum and Dad would go out for a drink on a Saturday night. David would immediately be locked in the broom cupboard while these two were playing 1v1 in the hallway. Let me out! Hang on now, kid, it's 1-1. Let me out! 2-1. Give him a Mars bar, keep him quiet. The second memory, a few years later, I think Stefan wanted to become a chemist. He made this incredible liquid concoction that he called Pop Deluxe, which was like a sparkling pop. And of course, I was the guinea pig. Mum and Dad were at work, it was school holidays, it was quite warm. Dave, come and try this, mate, it's unbelievable. What is it? It's called Pop Deluxe. Well, what was in that Pop Deluxe, I've got no idea. I think it was lemonade, salt and vinegar, dash of bleach, a bit of fairy liquid because it had a nice head on the top. But what worried me, it looked like Lucozade. I'll leave that to you. 10 years later, we arrive in Australia in 1972 in Kurri, Mum and Dad and I. And I wasn't that keen to come because I had all my friends in England, I was watching Leeds United, etc., etc. And we lived in a town called Kurri, so you can imagine Leeds to Kurri was a huge culture shock for me. And I wasn't happy. I used to fight with my dad, I want to go back. Stefan used to pop round every Saturday to see how we were. And I said, Steve, I'm not getting on with Dad. He said, what's wrong? He said, he thinks I'm a dickhead. Stephen looked at me and said, David, you are. What followed was a 5-minute wrestling match on the back lawn of 1 Waratah Street, Kurri, that was broken up after 10 minutes, thank God. I'm going to fast forward another 20 years, finished playing football, somehow I got into the music industry, and Stefan always looked after me. We got an offer to, we had some songs on the soap opera called E Street, which anybody remembers from Channel 10, early 90s. And I rang Steve, I said, Steve, this is going to be huge. It's going to be the next Neighbours. He said, David, calm down. Let me see the contract. I said, where are you? He said, I think he was on tour with, pre-season tour with Olympic up in Darwin somewhere. This was on the Tuesday, and he's not back till the Friday. So to cut a long story short, I went to the meeting at Universal Music and signed the deal because they needed to put the songs on the show. Stefan arrived back on the Friday. David, where's the contract? David, you've signed it, haven't you? Yeah. He said, bring it round, let me have a look. He looks at the contract, 25 years copyright, 75% Universal Music, 25% you and Jamie. He said, David. I said, what? He said, dickhead. Anyway, looking back, he's had a wonderful career and it's absolutely come to fruition to see all you people here today. Absolute tribute. Thank you, Harry, for a wonderful service that you've put on. And what an incredible feeling to see how he was revered by you people. And our kid, I call him our kid, you've done okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David, and thank you, Stuart, for a wonderful insight of Stefan growing up. And when you've got brothers like you two, he did very well. Please put your hands together and thank Stuart and David again. Stefan wouldn't have achieved what he did without one person, and that is Terry. Without further ado, now it gives me great pleasure to call on Terry to say a few words. Please put your hands together and welcome Terry.
Oh, that music is so beautiful. Absolutely lovely. But I must say, Remos and Parios you can listen to for so long, but when it gets to 6 hours and you're explaining that his steps are not correct when it comes to which foot do you start on for the Greek dancing, let me just go back a little bit to Stefan's inability to do many things, and I think it's about time that I put some things right. The words that I've just heard this evening, so beautiful, such lovely testimony to Stefan from everybody. It's incredible. But I think you might need to just put us into perspective. Sorry, young people, we go back to 1969. So, I'm sorry. I decided Stefan was a fibber, and I know why. He told his daughters not to marry a footballer. Let me share with you. I was a baby, 16 years old. I saw Stefan and thought, oh, what a good looker. Basically, oh, he looks nice. Okay. So I thought, okay, we'll go out. Well, he claims I was 17. I swear I was only 16, some years younger than him. He was okay, but I didn't understand a word he said with his Yorkshire accent. I knew he'd come to play football. That's all that I knew. So I thought, okay, I'll introduce him to the family. He arrived with that guitar. Now, I can't remember whether it was one of my sisters or somebody else's guitar, and wow, was I impressed. He could play House of the Rising Sun. Young people, we're talking 69, just wait for a while, we'll get to the present. House of the Rising Sun, I went, oh my God, he's so good looking, he can sing and he can play guitar. I quickly learned he could play the chord of House of the Rising Sun, and that was about it. I fell for it. He had a lot of charisma, a lot of charm. I was impressed. The family wasn't necessarily impressed. We're talking the country areas, New South Wales, so long ago. My father was horrified. He doesn't have a driver's licence. And when I was fixing the car, says Dad, he didn't know what a spark plug was. So that was even worse. So my family thought they'd give Steve, as he was known, a bit of a chance. Okay, so great fisherman, my father, said, okay, he can go out in the boat, we'll go fishing. That lasted 5 minutes before Stefan was violently ill, before I think he was about 100 metres offshore at Port Stephens. Family was still unimpressed, but he did redeem himself. We actually started to follow him with football, and I think nowadays I'd be called a wag. Is that it? I'm not so sure I like that name, but I think that's exactly what I was, waiting every Saturday afternoon for him to finish playing football at Western. And how beautiful is it to see some of his mates here from that particular era and that particular football team. So, some years later, we found ourselves in Sydney. Stefan was going to look after the National Soccer League. I was very excited for him. I was still looking for some casual work as a teacher at that stage. And I thought, oh, wonderful. But let me share a secret with you. This does not leave the room. Okay. So Stefan's off, and I think Harry and others, I don't know if Graham Arnold was there at all, but it was with the soccer team, young players at that stage going over to, is it Singapore for the Malayan tournament. I waved him goodbye. I was suitably upset to see him go, having 3 beautiful daughters about this big. I didn't tell him that the day after he left, 3 of them came down with mumps. I just thought, for those of you who know what mumps is and what it does to young men, it was better the soccer team actually didn't know. And I have kept that secret till now. Okay, so I'm not going to share too many more secrets with you. Let's move on. How beautiful it is to see so many people here from the present, from the past, good friends in football. Not only that, as was mentioned earlier, the number of friends and family across the world who are actually tuned in now or going to watch us later. People who have travelled here today from Perth, Melbourne, the Hunter Valley, the Southern Highlands. People are watching us from Prague, England, Scotland, Greece, Canada, and America. Kamasz family in those places. Stefan truly valued his friends, and a close group of us know very well the beautiful, beautiful poem Ithaca, which we do raise at times when we lose friends or family, and we actually talk about the fact that finding your Ithaca is not a riches that you find at the end of a journey, it's the journey that you actually make. It is what you make with your life, and I'm looking at each of you, and you are Stefan's Ithaca. He valued your friendship, he respected you. So many people from different walks of life. He actually was one for a good chat, as most of you would know, and he always had time for his friends. I did smile when I saw his contribution to football described as legendary and gigantic. He would never have seen himself in that way. It's already been mentioned he was particularly humble about things like that. And I can remember he was always shocked right into, I guess, would have been his late 20s, earlier than that, when we're in the Hunter Valley. He couldn't believe that anybody like a doctor or a solicitor could actually be in a pub or a club with him and chat with him. And I thought, oh, there you go, English, class system, whatever. But he seemed to keep that particular thing in mind as being something about Australia that he loved and people across the world. Everybody was equal. Apart, of course, from football, he did have another passion, and it's already been mentioned, and I'm just glossing over because so much has already been said. His passion for football was, I would say, his first passion, but let's put it second. We were the first. Okay, I don't care what anybody says, we were. Okay. Stefan had a very strong sense of justice, and every contribution to football was underpinned by a strong ethical belief, which I think Anta mentioned earlier. If there was a wrong that Stefan thought needed righting, something that needed correcting, he became a keyboard warrior. My goodness, at times he could have been his own call centre. He was a man with a mission. And for those of you, and I suspect quite a few people here, for those of you who have been on the receiving end of the emails or the calls, you know exactly what I mean about his determination. Stefan always wanted to see Australian football at all levels to grow stronger. He was always supportive and encouraging of those people who were determined to actually offer themselves to football and to help this sport grow. In fact, his first mentee was Anta, Isaac, the first one that I know of, and he absolutely loved Isaac. I can remember sitting at a football stadium. I don't know if it was Sydney FC, Anta, your dad was there. You were very young, and you and Stefan were talking about your future directions. And Stefan was most insistent that you stay with football, and he has been so proud of you and Despina in terms of what you have offered football in Australia, and I do know Asia as well. Of course, we do have a soul who's probably going to suffer here now because he is Stefan's latest mentee, and he is here tonight. Young Harry Ryan. Where's Harry? Oh, he's down there. Harry, no pressure. Okay, you've seen what's happened to Anta? Okay, eyes are on you and your future career, and our best wishes to you for that. You did hear a little bit about Stefan's other passion, which is Poros. I can't believe. I am so grateful for the different places that we have been able to visit, the people that we have met, and where we've ended up in that other little Ithaca. Not the end of the journey, but a part of it. That is Poros. And here tonight, some of our dear friends who were with us on our first long stay in Poros, 6 weeks or so. Oh my God, it was the late 90s. We won't go there too much, a long time ago, but it's so lovely to see you here today with us. Stefan was like a sponge. He absorbed the Greek culture, the history, the art, the music, the poetry. Some of our most memorable moments were at Epidavros, that beautiful ancient theatre, watching opera. I think the last one was a tribute to Maria Callas, and we saw the Baha'i performed live in that venue. Memories that you never forget. Driving back along coastal roads, the Aegean Sea, with a full moon right above you. Absolutely stunning. So, he did have quite a few passions in his life, and I do know over time many of you have come to know him and have been very, very good friends with him. So I'd just simply like to say a heartfelt and very special thank you to each of you for being a part of his life. And if I don't recognise you, please just introduce yourselves, because, to be honest, he had his career in football. We loved his football. We loved him. But I also had a career as well, which he was very, very supportive of. And mine was a passion for education as well. And so happy that I was able to become a leader in education in New South Wales. So we did complement each other in terms of that, and I have so many of my mentees here today in education and the support that they've shown me. So our relationship was one of growing as we had the opportunity to travel to meet different people from different places in the world, and also to watch families that are growing, people who are here today, your children that we remember and know, close colleagues. To the people, and please forgive me if I leave anybody out, I'm dreading this seriously. It's a heartfelt thank you to Harry Michaels, a very dear friend of Stefan's he has known for a very long time. For Jack Serbos, Elia Santoro, Football Australia, James, thank you so much, your staff, and Anton for the beautiful, beautiful flowers that arrived for us. It made our house so happy. Football New South Wales, I've seen a couple of people here from Football New South Wales, and I must say that the time he spent there, I think as an acting CEO manager for a while you're putting somebody into place, he said that has some of the happiest memories of his life being there at Football New South Wales. So now you're going to watch a little bit of a video that Anna and Jamie have put together. I don't know that I can watch it again. So, well, sorry, there was also, I'm sorry, somebody had to yell out and tell me if I forgot someone. We have Sydney FC as well. So my thanks to all of the people who have given their time, their energy, their resources into making this farewell and this, I guess, wonderful memory that's been created. So enjoy the video. I might just stare at the floor while it's on. Thank you.
He was amazing, and Terry, you summed it up. We love him and we'll miss him, but we also love you and your family, and everyone in this room will always be behind you and support you, and we'll miss him greatly. What a fantastic video montage, and well done to the family in preparing that wonderful montage. Friends, we have Remo Nogaroto, a video message from Remo all the way from Italy, and he deeply regrets not being here, but he has given us this video for you all to see.
Good evening, everyone. Well, it saddens me greatly that I'm not able to be back home to be able to share in this very special occasion where we rightly commemorate the remarkable contribution made by one man, Stefan Kamasz, to the development of our game. Hard as it is for me to get my head around it, but it's 5 decades since I first met Stefan. I was a young pup at the time, making my way up the football administrative ladder. It was the mid-80s, and Stefan Kamasz was already the general manager of the National Soccer League. They were heady days, of course, and whilst the National Soccer League predated national competitions in the AFL and the NRL by years, they were tough times. It was a time before the corporatisation of our game, and that meant that basically individuals of fairly modest means were putting up personal collateral and mortgaging their properties in order to support football clubs. Little wonder that those NSL meetings that I started to attend as a pup could become pretty combustible. But throughout this combustibility, there was one person who kept his head, kept the ship on an even keel, and made sure that at the end of the day, whilst those battles were fought round the board table or the executive table, we emerged from those meetings as friends, bound by a common purpose, and that was to build our game to be the biggest game of all in our adopted country and in the country of our birth in other instances. That man was Stefan Kamasz. I can count on one hand, if I can count at all, the number of occasions I saw Stefan lose his cool. And let's just say there were some pretty colourful people around that executive table, that NSL executive table. And he never, ever lost his cool. Most of all, he was a true believer. Not a manufactured true believer, a true believer. He played the game at a competitive level, both in the United Kingdom and in Australia, rose to become an administrator in northern New South Wales, Soccer Australia, the Australian Soccer Federation, the National Soccer League. It's an impressive CV by any stretch of the imagination. We owe him so much. At a personal level, today I look back fondly on my last exchange of messages with Stefan when I left the board of the FFA a couple of years ago. And in those messages, I quickly understood why he was such a special friend to me and to a lot of other people in the game. To Terry, my deepest sympathies, and to Stephanie, Anna and Joanne as well. I suspect, Terry, you could write a book on the history of Australian football, given everything you've witnessed alongside Stefan over a long period of time. And perhaps you and I can co-author that one day, Terry. I think it might just make the bestseller list. We will miss Stefan Kamasz. We will miss the manner in which he went about things, his sage guidance, his phlegmatic approach to problem solving, but most of all, we will miss him as a friend. And to everyone who are gathered there this evening in Sydney, again, saddened that I'm not there, but please remember, a great man. And to Stefan, thank you, mate, for everything you've done.
Thank you, Remo. And as we all know, Remo, his words were right on the mark. A great man, a great gentleman, a great friend, and a great family man. Friends, as we all know, Harry Michaels has changed the program, and I'm now going to call on JJ, or we all call him as JJ. Well, I call him Mr. Johnson, James Johnson, to the stage to ask him a few questions about his thoughts and opinions on our dear friend, Stefan. I know we've changed the plans here, but please bear with me. The man at the back is controlling the show. Thoughts on Stefan?
Thank you. The first words that come to my mind with Stefan is he was warm, he was kind, he was fair, and he was caring. And the thing that sticks out in my mind when I was thinking about my experience with Stefan was the first part of a conversation, a phone call, would often start with, "How are you?" Before there was any transactional business. That's something I really appreciated with Stefan. In the boardroom, a football board it can be complex. You're always one instance away from a crisis. It's challenging. And he was a calm leader, and he was a fair leader. And I think for me, he was a really values leader. And that's helpful when you're in a board, because you know where someone stands, and when you're trying to steer through choppy waters, that's the kind of leadership that really helps an organisation, and I really appreciated that.
What do you think Stefan's legacy will be for Australia football and just generally for Australia?
I think if you look at the 50 years that Stefan has been involved in football, I mean, that is remarkable, 50 years plus. But I think what is even more remarkable is he's operated in so many different roles within the game. He's worked at a member federation, he's worked at the national federation, he's been the CEO, he's been a board member, he's worked in the club side, he's worked in the NSL, he's worked in the A-League, and I think the game that we operate in and the community lives in is an ecosystem. And in order for it to grow and develop, what needs to happen is every different part of that ecosystem really needs to work. And I think for someone that has held leadership roles in almost every part of the game is really a legacy that only Stefan has in Australian football. I'm an admirer of everything that he has done in so many different parts, and his legacy is what we have today as a sport, which is we're the biggest participation sport. We've got two great national teams, and we've got a very good league, and Stefan has been a leading figure in every part of the game.
And how should we remember Stefan?
He's a great person, and the thing that I think about outside of board meetings, I knew Stefan as a CEO, board member, that's the relationship we had, but I also had the privilege of spending time with Stefan in a series of breakfasts and lunches outside of the boardroom, and something he taught me was really the history of this sport. He talked to me about, say, David Hill, for example. He talked about a young Enter Isaac. He'd often talk about the early years and some of the challenges of the NSL, the birth of the A-League, the start of the Players Association. These are lessons that people that have gone through it can only tell, and certainly Stefan has helped me really understand the journey that the game has been on, and also how we've got to where we are today. And that's certainly how I remember Stefan. It's also lessons that I've learnt and can apply in my job day to day. And I really appreciate that, and I wanted to make sure I was able to communicate that as well, Paul.
Thank you, James. Please put your hands together and thank James for his kind words and contribution for today's event. Friends, we're now going to hear from Angelo Picker, who's a close friend of Stefan. He's going to say a few words, and he's zooming in, or Teams in, I think. We'll see him on the screen in a quick moment, I'd imagine. Short delay. Okay. Okay. I think we've got him now. Thank you. Angelo? This is modern technology. Disconnected. Next item. Okay. What is the next item? He was going to do the wrap-up. I'm happy to do a song and dance, but no one wants to hear me. Sorry? Q&A. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. All right. I've got the microphone. I'll go down and interview a couple of people. Yep. I'm now here with Spiro Pappas because you're the first person I've seen. Would you like to say a quick few words about Stefan?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Paul. I think the first time I met Stefan was with you as guests of Harry, and we met Raleigh and Stefan. And obviously, it was such a wonderful privilege to get to know both of them, twin colossuses of the game. And I've got a very personal story in connection with Stefan because my mum called me. Stefan told me he was heading to Greece. I didn't know he was going to Poros with Terry. And my mum called me and said, "Do you know a guy called Stefano?" And I said, yeah, I couldn't work out what she was talking about, but I pieced it together through Harry that my mum's niece and nephew at the taverna, one of his favourite tavernas in Poros, had hosted you there. So I've sort of gotten first-hand, Terry and family, a sense of the impact that he always had a profound impact on everybody that he touched. And it was an honour to get to know him. And yeah, so that were my memories, personal memories. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Spiro. I'm now going to go to Chris Niku, the former chair of Football Australia. Your thoughts?
Thanks, Paul. Can I acknowledge the terrific speeches tonight that I think pay great testament to the perfect individual that was Stefan. I'm probably one of the few that not from Sydney, so as a Victorian, Stefan's reputation transcends the state borders. And a simple example, Leo Anazakis, or the late Leo Anazakis, who was president of South Melbourne for a number of years in the NSL, had a very fond connection with Stefan, and when he was down in Melbourne, they would just pick up as friends, even though they hadn't seen each other for a while. And Elia Donudis and others in the Greek football community always spoke very highly of him. For me personally, I was fortunate with Joseph and Heather and Spiro to serve with him a few years back, and he struck me from the outset as being a man of great integrity, a real moral compass. I think Anthony's speech talked about the attention to detail. He made my life easier because with the board pack or the regulations, I'd give it to Stefan and they'd ask me, "Are you happy with them?" I said, "If you pass the Kamasz test, I'm happy with it." So that's how we did our board pack.
That's so true. I heard that.
He had an unbelievable attention to detail. It was fantastic. On a very personal level, when we caught up for a meal, Greek was often on the menu. He loved, obviously, Poros, and he would send me photos from that taverna that we've seen, and including that photo with the Football Australia jacket. And plan to be in Greece later in the year, and I hope to get there and have a drink and remember our great friend Stefan. And hopefully everyone here today can have a little special memory of what Stefan meant to them.
Great. Thank you, Chris, and thank you for coming up from Melbourne to be here. I'm going to now go to John Tsatsimas, the CEO of Football New South Wales. John, your thoughts?
Got a lot of respect for Stefan Kamasz, particularly from the days of him being in charge of my beloved Sydney Olympic as a young kid and coming through university. And and to be at the table with him in terms of him being on the opposite side of things with Sydney FC and when I was at the Jets and then at the Wanderers. But I guess the highlight for me was when he willingly came to a Wanderers game, noting his history with Sydney FC when we brought out Leeds United. So certainly made him and Terry's night that night, I think. And I never saw a joy on an older guy bringing out the youth in him, the kid in him, when he saw his Leeds United at Combank Stadium that night. So his energy that night was particularly profound to me, and he's going to be missed. And the biggest respect for him, not only from a friend point of view, even though he's on the other side of the table, it was also from a professional point of view. We all wanted to be like him in terms of his professionalism and his respect for the group.
Thank you, John. Is Angelo online yet? Have we any luck with Angelo? No, we've got no luck with Angelo. Okay, I'm now going to go into the room here. As a former Socceroo, your thoughts on Stefan?
Look, Stefan was... I met Stefan as the general manager in the 1982 Million Cup tournament. And also he was the general manager of Sydney Olympic in the days when I played at Sydney Olympic. He's a great football man, very kind, spoke well, and he was friends with everyone. So not a bad word to say about Stefan, and he will be sorely missed. And he contributed so much to our game. So condolences to the family.
Thank you, Peter. As a former coach, assistant coach, and a coach for the youth, your thoughts on Stefan?
Yes, Stefan came with me to Singapore as a head of delegation. That's the first time he got recognition. We won the Berlin Cup and Stefan was a head of delegation. A gentleman plus. He's not good. Everybody else said everything about him. I mean, I never seen him angry in my life. I worked with him in the Australian Soccer Federation. And I think I know Stefan for about 30, 40 years. And never at once did we have a bad word. I respected him and he respected everybody around him. So that's all I can say. It's no good keep talking about something which everybody else said already. Great gentleman. Sorry that he's not longer with us.
Thank you very much. Andy, you've known Stefan for many years, both from a personal perspective and also from a media perspective. Your thoughts on Stefan?
Look, in the first instance, I don't think I've ever seen anyone with a CV in football like Stefan's. And I was actually Google searching. While we're at it, the legacy book's going around there, so please sign it. I looked up legacy. Legacy can take many forms. It may be of one's faith, ethics, core values. It may be monetary or your assets. A legacy may come from one's character, reputation, and the life you lead, setting an example for others and to guide their futures. And we've had so much symmetry in that space today. That is his legacy. What are the footprints that Stefan Kamasz has left in this world? We're all following those footprints. He was an amazing man. I first met him, obviously, back in the day, working with the legends Les Murray and Johnny Warren at SPS. Just the way he handled himself in difficult situations, he made a difficult situation seem easy. All problems could be solved. There is a solution. Facts don't lie. Don't lose focus on the primary purpose of what you do. But I loved his sense of humour. I know how proud he was when Harry Kewell signed for Leeds United and Mark Viduka and Paul Ocon followed, a couple of legends of our game, and thankfully there's Shineflogs in the house here today as well, one of the greatest in terms of developing some of our great Socceroos. But I think all of us are blessed to have crossed his path because it didn't matter where he was, whether it was Sydney FC, Football New South Wales, Football Australia, the old National Soccer League, and I think Remo summed it up perfectly. They were difficult times. There was a lot of angst. There was a lot of push and shove. But he stayed true. He stayed focused. He followed that path, and his legacy out there for all.
And he's now up there with Les, and he's up there with Raleigh, he's up there, I mean, you can, Johnny Warren, I mean, he's up there with the best, isn't he?
You can go to your Joe Watsons, Eddie Thompsons, your George Pachalises. There's so many wonderful people that have contributed to the game. We're all here for the game, no matter what our role is. Like, my role's a different role now to what it was once before. But Stefan was a friend to all of us. And God rest his soul, and wonderful tributes. Lovely to see the family, to Terry and everyone else. Our thoughts and prayers are with you in this most difficult time.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Andy. Stuart, as being the CEO of Sports New South Wales, you would have met Stefan on many occasions. What was your engagement like with Stefan?
Well, I had the pleasure first of working with Stefan at the Australian Soccer Association, and then years later I became CEO of Football New South Wales after Stefan's term as acting CEO there. And without the support of people like Anta Isaac, who was chair at the time, and the board, and people like Stefan, my first role as a CEO would have been a lot more difficult than what it was. And he provided me such invaluable support as an incredible professional sports administrator, but his compassion and desire to help me through some challenging times, I'll always thank him for that. He would reach out to me just to ask how I was. As JJ mentioned earlier, he'd reach out to you just to find out how you were doing, and that was something he didn't have to do, but he did it because he cared a lot, and I'll always treasure that. And I'll miss those coffees with him and Raleigh. I really do. They were special times, hearing about the history of football, and we'll miss those conversations.
Thanks, Stuart. Well, friends, I'm going to come up to Peter Raskopoulos as a former Socceroo. Peter, can I just grab you for a second? What are your thoughts on Stefan?
I think everything's been said about Stefan, but as Ante and David said, he was a unique human being, and I think the great attribute Stefan had was his ability far outweighed his ego, and that's not common in football in this country.
Thank you, Peter. Now I'm going to go to the youngest person in the room, and I should know your name, but I don't. But apparently you're someone important and someone who knows Stefan for a long time, and you are the youngest person in the room. Your thoughts, and well, firstly your name, and secondly your thoughts on Stefan.
First of all, my name's Ted Simmons. As far as being the youngest person, I'm 96.
You don't look it.
Sounded at times. Yes, I know Stefan. Knew Stefan well. Didn't know his family, but I would imagine, knowing Stefan as he was, he would bring up his family to be credits to himself and to all the people that they knew. As far as football is concerned, I think probably the best way to acknowledge what Stefan has done is to put his name to something. We get lots of people have their names engraved on something and they've done nothing, really, but they knew the right people in an organisation. We don't have many trophies. I can't think of many at all, of which have been named after players, male or female. And this is something that Stefan was very good at as far as the women were concerned in the game, in helping to promote their performances and get something better for the women so that they were not looked down upon by the men or regarded. As one very senior official once said to me, "Oh, come on, Ted, let's be fair dinkum about this. Women are good for the kitchen and the bedroom, but not on a sporting field." And I went steaming out of the room from both ears after that. And that's why the book I wrote is Half Men, Half Women. And congratulations to the women as they are now, with the Matildas doing a great job. for the game of football in Australia and throughout the world too.
Great, thank you, Ted. I'm going to go to Trixie because she said no, but I'm going to come to Trixie. Trixie, as the first Matilda's coach and a former player and a lover of the game, your humble thoughts on Stefan?
He was simply the best.
There's a song after that, Tina Turner. No, I can't sing. I'm going to leave it to you. I'll be your back vocal.
Well, I have a lot of memories, good memories of knowing Stefan, and lately one of his last messages to me was, Trixie, keep reminding people of what you guys did in the old days, and I'm talking about the 1975 Matilda's team, which I believe still has to be recognised officially.
Thank you, Trixie. Well done. I know you didn't want to do it, but I thank you very much. Yeah, Paul Wade, former Australian Socceroo captain. We can also, if we can find Graham Arnold, if he's still in the room, but we'll come to Paul first. Paul?
Yes.
You're an icon as well. And you're still, you should be in the soccer team because I still think that you could add value to the team. But, Paul, your quick thoughts on Stefan?
There's a book at the back here and we're all signing it. You put your name down in a comment. And I thought, what am I going to say? And then it came to me, I'm a Liverpool supporter. And I thought,
we won't hold that against you, mind you.
No, not at all. But I thought to myself, you'll never walk alone. And I thought, looking at all the people in this room with the experiences that you've all had in and out of football, amazing. So he will never walk alone, whether he's up there or he was here. We're all his mates. We really are. So good on him. Thank you, Stefan. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you. Graham, come just a little bit out of here behind the... No, that's right. No, I apologise. No, I put you on the...
Michael's is in trouble for this one.
Yeah, well, we can all blame Harry later, but at the moment, we've heard a lot about Stefan, and you've been around for a while. You've been a fantastic coach for Australia. You've done wonders yourself to the football community. Losing a person like Stefan, and in Les Murray and others. I mean, it's a great loss.
Oh, huge. I don't think people will realise how much he did for Australian football until he's gone. And unfortunately, to the family and everyone, that Stefan was a fantastic person. I have to say that there's not much else I can say because everyone has said it all tonight. And he was always a great person. Always through the World Cup qualifiers, always through the campaigns that I've been involved in over the years. He'd always send good luck text messages, morning of games, after games. He'd give an opinion of the performance. But he was always a great man. And, his communication skills as a board member was fantastic because, I think that shows you the love from coaching side and even on the players' side when you have someone like that they show they care. And Stefan was a fantastic man and a great ally to be around, and it's a huge loss for Australian football. But I think today is a celebration for a fantastic man and what he's done for Australian football.
That is so true. Thank you very much. Thank you. I think we have Angelo now online. We're online with Angelo. Angelo, here we are, all the way from Napoli in Italy. Angelo.
How are you, Paul? Yes, good day to everybody. It is a pleasure to join you direct from Italy. Obviously, I've been listening to a lot of the messages and speeches, and I want to say hello to Ante Isaac and the board of management, the presidents, coaches, James Johnson, former Socceroos, Matildas, players, the media, fans, and all the stakeholders across Australia. The reason why I'm saying this is that it's a wonderful thing that we are here united to celebrate the life of Stefan. because he was such a lovely person, such a great man, and everything's been said about him. But I think wouldn't have he have been happy to see the whole of Australia united in this room, and for a person, so many passionate people that we have in the audience and right across Australia, and of course, what I want to say is that we're here to celebrate the great man. And I remember talking to Stefan many times when I was in administration, management positions, and he would always say, if the game was working harmoniously and working united, we'd be a real force. And I think that everybody knows that. But, Stefan said it in such a meaningful way. Look, what I want to say, I want to express my deepest condolences firstly to Stefan's wife, Terry Ann, Stefan's daughters, Stephanie, Anna, Joanna, and of course Stephanie's brothers, Stuart and David. And look, what does one say about the person that did so much for the game? Everything's been said tonight, but I just want to bring, just say a couple of recollections that I had of my involvement with Stefan. I actually got involved with Stefan in the mid-90s when I first started as a volunteer for Adelaide City Soccer Club. I was a volunteer in the marketing department because in those days there was no budgets and there was no sort of financials as we see today in the A-League. And Stefan was always approachable. I remember calling him and seeking advice and information. He would always take it seriously and give me the right advice with a lot of care, because he knew that if he gave me advice, the right advice, I would be a contributor and operate a lot better for the game. He was always thinking of the game. I think everyone knows that he held so many positions. At some stage, for example, he was working for the Australian Soccer Weekly. I think all of us may remember the Australian Soccer Weekly that was edited by John Economou. And that particular day, Stefan wrote a marketing article, which I'm very passionate about. He wrote it with so much passion, intelligence, and knowing, and he was thinking that a lot of the clubs right around the country would read it and maybe take some action and do those things, to better the game. He always had the game at the back of, surrounding these issues that we always had. And of course, I called him because I was so impressed, and I called him and just thanked him and said, great piece of work, and hopefully all the clubs would read it, and do something good for the game. But Stefan, I think it's all been said. Stefan was the type of a person that he made friends, not enemies. And even if he had something to say that was a serious sort of thing, he would always say it and make sure that nobody got offended by it. So I think I'm sure one of the things I remember, that I used to talk to him a lot from Greece. When he was living in Greece, of course, it's very close to me in Italy, and I remember calling him and talking about Leeds United, and that there was a particular game I think everybody knows, everybody remembers it, Leeds United versus Liverpool, and that particular game over 90 minutes, Leeds won the game 4-3. Mark Viduka 4 goals, and it was a great day for him. But I got to say, he wasn't just excited about the fact that Leeds won the game, but he was happier with the fact that Mark Viduka scored 4, and he was flying the flag for Australia, of course. And we would often talk about Italy, Serie A, and one of the calls that I got from Greece, he had this desire to come to Italy and watch the Serie A, and but of course I told him about, I'm a Napoli fan. Of course I told him about Maradona. Say so many things about Diego Maradona, but this particular call where he said he wanted to come over to see the stadium São Paulo, which is the Napoli Stadium. That, of course, has been renamed the Diego Armando Maradona Stadium. And, of course, the president of Napoli and the mayor have built this great big statue of Maradona. And Stefan had that desire, you know, to come over, but of course we didn't get a chance, you know. He also, I've got to say, one particular time he worked for a period when football, the game, had some turbulent sort of and very challenging years. Of course, when we had the surrounding, you know, the game was changing, the ethnicity issues. The history shows that the game was changing, and we wanted to Australianise the game a little more. But the fact that at that time, as we all know, a lot of the clubs perceived that as you know, racism and the equal opportunity, and Stefan dealt with those issues diligently and with great care, emotions, and passion. I've got to say that his message to people was always significant. For example, I think you might all remember that time. I follow the marketing aspect of the game. When Adelaide City Juventus were encouraged to change their name to Adelaide Force, and West Adelaide Hellas was then changed to Adelaide Sharks. But you know, I think throughout this whole period, this is where Stefan was fantastic. He dealt with it. He lived through that and dealt with it with great dignity and intellectuality, and always with the game at the forefront of any issues. And he always found a way to put views across without offending anybody. And you know, that is a character that I think a behaviour that is admirable, and also I would say you know, it's exemplary to anybody. I mean, I always admired him, the way he dealt with those issues. And I think, you know, we all know that Stefan made a lot of friends, not enemies. He always knew how to put his point across, as I mentioned. And he once called me from Greece again. Obviously, we stayed in touch a lot through Facebook and Messenger and so on, all the social media avenues. But on this particular time, he called me about one of the On the Ball shows, which is proudly produced by Harry Michaels. And he called me purposely to encourage me to stay with Harry, because he knew I was working with Harry, and Harry was at the time working in a push to have a live television show on a mainstream television channel. And of course, he said, you know, he virtually said, Angelo, stay with Harry, because Harry's got the game at heart. And he was always a very, very strong advocate. Once he knew that a person was genuine, a person was had loved the game, and a person wanted to do something for the game, he was always there to help, and he always found the right words to, you know, he always found the right words to encourage people, motivate people. I think it's a sort of talent that you know, that he had, and the sort of ways of talking, like Graham Arnold just said before. You know, he was one of those people that you know, it was contagious. You know, the good things about the game, and then obviously to encourage people in whatever roles he held. I mean, look, he held so many roles in his life, and he you know, he did so many things that they're unforgettable. You know, I really miss him. I really miss him. He was like a brother, really. At the end, he was very close, and he helped me immensely. So, you know, I think that you know, right now it's a beautiful thing that we're all together, and the fact that we need to stay together. You know, it's actually incredible to see Football Australia and all of these stakeholders right around the country, you know, pulling this off together. I think that the best example for him is, I'll never forget the fact that he had the passion love thy neighbour, the neighbour football. One of the disciples of the game, one of the greats of the game. Look, at this stage, I would like to, we organise some flowers, and I'd like to ask Paul to present flowers to Terry Ann and the family. Of course, the girls, Stephanie, Anna. And this is from, I've got to say, this is from me, but also many people that I've worked with in the media, my media friends, journalists. We've been talking a lot about the show, and I want to present those flowers on behalf of those people and myself.
Thank you, Angelo. Please put your hands together to thank Angelo for making the time to join us and to pay tribute and celebrate Stefan's life and legacy. And I'd also like to thank James Johnson and Ante Isaac for presenting the wonderful flowers that Angelo prepared and facilitated for today's event. Friends, that concludes the formalities for this evening. I'm sorry it went a little bit longer than we expected, but I hope you appreciate this was a fantastic way to celebrate a fantastic person, in that being Stefan. Can I take this opportunity before we conclude to thank Harry Michaels, OAM, the man at the back of the room, for the facilitation of this evening's event. Can I thank his camera crew and the boys that are working tirelessly and got Harry in their ear, in their mind when they go to sleep tonight. I think they're going to be hearing Harry this, and I'm not sure whether they'll be able to sleep, but they've done a brilliant job in helping prepare this event. Can I thank Football Australia for supporting this event, and Football New South Wales for supporting this evening's event, because it wouldn't have happened without the support of those two great entities in our community. I'm being someone's. Can I also thank Condedes and the staff here for their wonderful support, and Condedes, the owner of Dede's Waterfront Group, who's also ensured that the staff provide us the wonderful food and beverages. Now, we also got, and I'm getting all the signals from everyone, that you need to sign the condolence book if you can, if that's possible. And I think it's just here behind Trixie. So if you haven't signed it, please do so. Friends, it's been an honour to be the MC this evening, and I thank you for the opportunity to do so. And I really believe that this has been a wonderful send-off, and Terry, and to your daughters and to the brothers and everyone in the Kamasz family and the broader family, thank you for giving us this wonderful opportunity to be here and celebrate Stefan, and may he rest in peace, and his impact will forever endure in the Australian football community here in Australia. Thank you very much, and God bless.